and welcome to episode 2022, number 7 of the Mind and Muse Crafts podcast. I am your host, Caroline, and thank you for joining me today. As you can see from the scenery in that introduction, I'm not at home. Once again, I find myself at my son's house with my grandson, trying to help out with a newborn baby. And this time I am not in New Hampshire. I find myself in the state of Alabama, where my son currently lives. And so I definitely wanted to share with you some glimpses of what surrounds me now and what this part of this state looks like. We are currently in Huntsville, Alabama. Are any of you from that area, or do any of you know that area well because you lived there in the past, or you were raised there, or for any reason you passed through that area at some point in your life? Chat with me and let me know below. I'd really like to know your experiences. For us up to now, it has been fine. We were greeted by very friendly neighbors, and anywhere that I have went, for example, to purchase around the town, we have been greeted and treated very nicely, very warmly. And so up to now, I have no complaints, except for the wasps. I have a very large disregard for wasps because when I was very, very young, I ran into a wasp hive, maybe? I know they weren't very big, but they were yellow. They were called yellow jacks or something like that. And, well, obviously they stung me from head to toe. And so ever since, I have had a very severe disliking for the creatures. The ones around here, however, are red, like a red-orange and large, big. And also for the first time, I've been seeing gigantic bumblebees. I mean, down in Puerto Rico, we have bees and we have wasps, but they're very small compared to the wasps and the bees that I'm seeing around here. So I'm not too sure if I want to be here for the summer. Up to now, I will be here until the end of May. Then I will go back home. And as I've mentioned to you before, we've got this exchange between mother-in-laws and grandmothers, so that we are both helping out for a certain amount of time, for as long as we can, and for as long as they need. Because eventually, obviously, they're going to find somebody in the area that can help them, but that hasn't happened yet. They're still too new, and they still need the help. So, I am happily seated once again on the floor in an empty room, so there's probably a lot of echo. I'm not sure. I'll know when I listen to this. In the house, and the lighting is only the lighting that comes in from the window. There is no artificial lighting because the room basically is empty. But I thought it would do well for the distraction. No distraction if you don't have anything on the walls behind me to look at, right? So it's an improvised situation, but I'm going to try and chat with you for a while as best I can. It probably won't be that long, but I just want to put by you some things that I have finished, some things that I am planning on doing, and just to generally up-to-date you on the crochet side of my life. So let's begin with, even though I am not in a normal situation, I am trying to keep the episode as normal as possible. So normally I start out with a section called Walking the Talk, where I share with you the way that I use crochet items that I create. And so today I am wearing for you, two items that are crochet and handmade. The oldest one, the one that I made further back, were the earrings. I have this deja vu feeling that I spoke about these earrings before, so I'm going to kind of like keep it short because I'm really not sure. But anyway, these are triangular single crochet in the round earrings. They are not totally flat because they've got this bulge in the middle, which is created by the fact that I am going around and around with single crochets, only increasing at 3 corners. So I'm not increasing in between. I only increase at the 3 corners, and then that creates this triangular shape, and it also creates the bulge in the middle because initially you're not going to have enough stitches to keep the shape flat. And so keeping it flat happens as it grows. So that's what the back looks like. I thought the back was kind of attractive too. And I did bring the printout of the instructions with me, hoping to get it onto my blog. While I'm here, if I can't crochet, then I might as well try and get them onto my blog. And so if any of you would like to try and have a hand at making crochet jewelry, I have shared with you before that I enjoy it a lot because of the fact that it's something small that you get done. You probably could get them done in about an hour once you read the pattern and you understand how it's working. And so that's what I like about crochet earrings, that they're quickies, no? You can get them done pretty quick. I mean, there is a time wait before you can actually use them if you want them to be stiff, because these, depending what crochet thread you use, I haven't tried them with the nylon thread. They might come out stiff enough with the nylon thread so that you don't have to add a stiffener or glue like I do. As I've shared with you before, I normally add to the back of them. I have added a solution of glue, and I have all of white glue, just that Elmer's white glue or whatever brand you prefer. But I like the Elmer's because it dries up clear. That's what you're looking for. And I only use it on the back. And sometimes I use a watered down solution, and sometimes I just use the glue as it is. Because the watered down solution, I find that you may need to reapply in the near future. So I find that the pure glue works a little better. This is with cotton thread. This one is Aunt Lydia's taupe color, and it is size number 10, mercerized cotton. And so, but you know what, guys? This is going to be an episode of finished objects because that's all I am seeing around me. Anyway, the second item that I can share with you in the Walking the Talk that has made part of my outfit today is the blouse that I am wearing. This is the Shield Maiden. The Shield Maiden by Clarissabeth of Crochet Cakes. It is a pattern that is on her blog. And I think it's probably one of the first patterns that she published to the blog. And I've always been wanting to make it, but I have never been able to get the exact yarn that she used. You'll remember that I did use a yarn that I brought back with me from our one trip to Spain, to Madrid, that we did. And it was like yellow with variegations of green in it. And it's a color that nobody liked too much, but I simply bought it as a memoir of our trip to Madrid. And I mean, it was on sale, and so I bought it. It's cotton, 100% cotton. It was a Spanish brand, so I bought it. But then I really didn't find the use that I wanted for it because Elizabeth, at least that was home at the time still, actually did not really like it much. And so you'll remember that I think that I made the whole front of this once in that yarn and then ran out of yarn. I couldn't make the back or anything. So I ripped it back and made something else with it. But for this, I used the Bernat Maker Home Deck, which is what she uses. I believe it's discontinued, but I did find some on Amazon. And I took it in the exact same color that she used, which is this clay color. It's called clay. It was available in like sort of minty green or a yellow. And I sort of like regretted not having purchased it in the yellow because spring is coming towards an end and summer is approaching. Well, you know, and it was a nice bright yellow that went well with spring. But on the other hand, I thought Shield Maiden, I don't know if any Shield Maidens would have shields in that yellow color. Would that even have made a difference? I guess I could have just changed the name, but anyway, I bought it in the original color in which Elizabeth worked up. I used the hooks that she used in the pattern. As a matter of fact, I had to purchase hook because I bought a whole set of hooks, of small hooks, thinking about that I would be making earrings or small items and not thinking about large items, but this uses 7 and an 8. 7 and an 8. So I actually purchased off of Amazon a whole little kit of what I consider to be economical in terms of money that you pay for them. It came with 5 hooks, of which I only needed 2, that's true. And one of them I don't have. It comes from size 6.5 up to 10. And I only needed 7 and 8, but I bought them. These are just aluminum hooks, but I bought them because I don't have any hooks that have these beautiful flower endings on them. I thought they were pretty. Basically, that is why I bought them, because I thought they were pretty. Once a hook gets past a certain size, I feel that even if it's made in aluminum or so we'll see what they're made of, right? Aluminum, bamboo, or I have plastic ones too, which I don't like as much, but they tend to get wide enough, especially for the way that I hold my hook, that you really don't need, I really don't hold on to it on this side here. So maybe somebody that holds a hook like this, but even so, I feel that this part of it should be brought down to here, because normally people who use it as a pencil will hold further down, and I use it, you know, like this, like a spoon, maybe, knife, fork, whatever. So this part I really don't use. It just looked pretty. So, I mean, I knew that was going to happen. It just looked pretty. But they served their purpose very well. They were very good, executed very well what I needed them to do. And it came with a case. And in the case, it had a bunch of stitch markers or progress keepers. It had some plastic needles, and it had, I don't see it here, but it also had a measuring tape. So yeah, I think that was for $8.99 or something like that. And okay, true, I didn't need everything, but I mean, cute face on it on both sides. And so I'll find use for it. It won't go to waste. There'll be other projects in the future that I'll be able to make with that. So this was what was left of the yarn. This yarn brings 250 grams, and it is a bulky with 317 yards. 250 grams, 317 yards. Now, Clarissa has talked extensively about this yarn before because she's used it for several projects. But if you haven't seen her podcast, this is like filled with a polyfill. It's 72% cotton, 28% nylon, the outer covering, and inside it's got like a polyfill. Because as the name suggests, it's probably made, the purpose was probably for homemakers items like blankets and afghans and pillows or cushions. So Clarissa gave it the use of making a garment with it. And I am very happy with the garment. I don't think there's any sense in me trying to give you a better view of the garment, but I can try. So for me, I do need a blouse under it because, I don't want to show my tummy anymore. There was a time, but not anymore. So yes, I do use a blouse under it. And I just used the only sleeveless blouse that I had brought down with me because I didn't bring a lot of clothes this time. And, I didn't come prepared for layering, where you put maybe a sleeveless blouse on top of a short sleeve, on top of a long sleeve or whatever. I didn't come prepared for that, so I didn't have anything here except this one, and I had this one because I wore it down. This is a silk. It's a silk tank top that Clarissa purchased for me exactly, but I don't think it looks that bad, so I wore it. And I'm very happy with the fit. I made a small. There are two sizes, small, medium, and large, extra large. So 2 or 3 sizes. It might be small, mediums, large, extra large, and the small, medium are like together. So because of the fact that this stretches, so yeah, somebody bigger than me could probably fit into it. And so that was I made it totally here. It's really quick. I mean, it's something that you can make in 2 nights. And even in front of the TV set if you are that type of person. Unfortunately, I can't do anything in front of it while I'm watching TV because my mind cannot take care of 2 things at once. So I think I've mentioned that before also. So I didn't. I did this up in my room at night when I was alone so that I could count stitches, but it works up really quick, very quickly. And so I want to think about it again, but I'm pretty sure I didn't do any modifications to it. I did it exactly as she wrote it up. The same amount of rows, the same length, everything the same. And I'm totally happy with it. And depending on how I did steam block it, so I was able to do that. And depending on how much I need to wash it, we'll see how the yarn itself holds up to wear and tear. So there's an invitation for you if you're looking for something for the summer. I mean, it all depends on where you live this time of year. But yes, I think it's an easy, I would think you could even wear it like in the winter. You could use it as a vest on top of a long sleeve shirt, and I think it would still look pretty nice. So that's the Shield Maiden by Clarissa of Crochet Cakes. And that was the second finished item that I can share with you that you haven't seen before. Well, you have seen this one partially made, but I had to rip it back because I didn't have enough yarn. So let's get to the biggie. The biggie is my tapestry. If you were with me for the last podcast, I think that's as far back as I went. I lost a sister back in, it's been a month now. So on March 26th, she passed away in her home with her family. I had been there the week before and thinking up something that I could do to try and keep as a memoir of our relationship and the memories that I have of her, I decided to recreate the lyrics of one of the songs that I most relate to her when she was still at my home when I was growing up. I am the youngest of, we were 11 at one time, and there are now 8 of us left, but I'm still the youngest. And so my sister was one of my last sisters to leave. She wasn't the last one, but she was one of the last ones to leave the home, our parents' house. And I remember the music that I remember her by. One of the ones that I most remember her by is the album named Tapestry by Carole King. This is about 1971, more or less. And so in that song, I shared the lyrics with you the last time, where it talks about a tapestry that the singer, the person narrating the lyrics, is looking at, and how she comes along a road with a drifter who's dressed in a coat of many colors, who reaches to a tree for something golden, and who later is turned into a toad by some evil power that lingers along this road that she's walking on. So here's my finished tapestry. I left the edges without weaving in on purpose, because the last lines of the tapestry say that my tapestry unraveling has come to take me back. And that is the part of the song that I associate with my sister's passing. So I wanted to leave it like that. I used the cut and tie method in addition. And so here's the back. Now, if you're not up to messy backs, this would not be a project for you, but we've all suffered loss. So you know that in the beginnings, even if you have been expecting the passing to occur, in the beginning, you feel a mess. So leaving this mess at the back was another way of just letting my feelings out. That was the way I was feeling at the beginning. So I left it like that, and I was perfectly happy with it as a maker. Maybe at another time of my life, I wouldn't be happy with it, but right now I was. So it's finished. It has been steamed. And I did have some difficulties with it, with getting it to lay flat, because I used yarns of different weights, because although I purchased quite a bit of yarn for this, I wanted also to use certain colors, because I shared with you before that I made the drawing first in PowerPoint, saved it as a JPG file, picked it up in Paint for Windows, Paint, so that I could bring down the amounts of colors being used and kind of like repaint it. And so in the long run, it had 21 colors. And then I took it to Stitch Fiddle, where I again fiddled with the stitches so that I would have less colors. And this, for example, the tree here that occupies a large amount of the tapestry, that was number 10 of Aunt Lydia's. So I held that one double, whereas most of the others were number 3, but they weren't all Aunt Lydia's. For example, this very bright, beautiful green that's here, that I want to make a pair of earrings out for me. I'll display for the next podcast. This is from I don't know if it's Petra. I think it's Petra. So it's not mercerized cotton, it is 100% cotton, and that did make a difference in the way that it feels more than anything else. But this made the biggest difference because of the yarn. Even holding two together, it was not as thick. It didn't have the same gauge as the number 3. I think I should have held 3 together instead of 2. And maybe then it probably would have been a tad bit thicker. But what happened with it being thinner was that my tapestry sort of like slanted to this side. And so I really had to stretch it out when I was blocking it so that it would kind of look triangular. Without distorting too much all of the other figures. Although I do think that my ghostly figure is leaning to one side over here because of the amount that I had to stretch. And I don't know. In here, I was supposed to use 2 colors of gray. You can barely see that change in color there. I needed a lighter color. It's kind of like to create a shadow for where his sleeve is hanging. That one didn't work out too well there because there wasn't too much of a color difference between those colors. But it's okay from a distance. It's okay from a distance. I am very happy with it. And although the song, the narrator is only present in the sense that she is narrating, I decided to put it in because that is representing my sister. My sister was darker skinned than I was because my mother's side of the family were very white skinned. They had more of the Spanish heritage in them, whereas my father's side of the family was more dark-skinned because they had more of the Indian and African side of our culture. So I do love it very much. I don't know about the edges because I don't know how I'm going to hang this up. I would really like to hang it up so that you can see the unraveled edges. But then again, I'm thinking about maybe putting it inside, removing the glass from a frame and setting it inside a frame. And so I'll probably have it on the wall also in my craft room where it can be near to my heart. So that was the tapestry. And I'll tell you, for somebody who didn't like to use a lot of colors just to not go through the headache of carrying yarns and changing colors, I enjoyed making this project a lot. I really did. And I enjoyed the idea of becoming an artist through yarn. I enjoyed that idea very much. I also thought that I could have used a larger hook. I used a 2.75 in the end, but I started out with a 2.25. I think I could have gone up to a 3, and it still would have worked up nicely. And probably been a little bit larger. But I'm fine with it. I'm very happy to have it complete. I'm very happy for the way it looks. You really have to have a relationship with the song and the era in time to understand the mixture of magic and spiritualism and all of that. So that makes it even better in the sense that it's even more personal. That you can look at it and you might not see what I see because of the fact that it's a very personal item for me. So my heart goes out to you if you are mourning also. I know it's hard. Been there, done that. And I also know that it gets easier. And that small things like this, although you might not think that you have the head to do it, can really help ease the pain and create an item that you can have with you forever. And hopefully when I'm gone, it will find a place maybe with my sister's children. Maybe she would like them, or maybe my own children would like to keep it. Maybe then not as a memoir of my sister, but as a memoir of my handcrafting and my ventures into trying to be an artist and a painter with yarn, because it's been a very nice experience. So there's another project that I completed in the time that we have not been together, and that project is no longer with me, but I can share a small video that I made of the project. If you'll remember, the project was my fairy house that I was creating in Freeform Crochet. And I will put up a video here so you can see how it looks. The Freeform Crochet Fairy House was meant from the very beginning to be a gift for my daughter, Clarissa, because Clarissa collects mushrooms. And I had been planning, I took a course in Freeform Crochet, just the basic technique, and I completed it. And with all of the different stitches and how to join and how to keep the painting flat, I put all that together to make the fairy house. Now, it's not perfect because it's not totally flat. There are places where I joined my pieces together and I didn't do it using the correct stitch length. So you'll see that there's a stitch. The mushroom here on the right hand side is tilted more than it should be. The mushroom is totally out of proportion also. I should have made it much way smaller, but I didn't. And so I just attached that piece to it anyway. And yes, there are a lot of things that I would do differently if I were to do it again. But I am going to learn more. I also registered a course in Craftsy, and they did have a course on Freeform Crochet. And I like to compare methods. I like to see more than one. I like to see the way that more than one teacher or maker presents her skills and her techniques. And the next step after that will probably be to register in the abstract portrait Freeform Crochet course of José Dammers that I spoke to you about last week, where she creates actual portraits. They could be based on a photo or based on a painting, and she adds abstractions to the photos. And I'm not sure yet if I want mine to be actually abstract or if I want it more to be genuine and more real to life. But I've also seen some of her students work real to life paintings. The difficulty of doing something that is more real to life, let's say, me creating a portrait of my sister, is that you need different shades of the same color. For example, if it's going to be a portrait and my sister's complexion is the brownish color, obviously it's not one tone. She's got various tones there. And depending on the way the light hits the picture, and depending on the way, for example, your nose will create shadows around here and things like that, and the shadows on your eyelids, etc., you will need different tones to simulate that shading. And that is not always easy to find. So yeah, I'll decide later on whether I'm going to do a real life portrait or if I'm going to make it somewhat abstract. For example, I like the idea of that the cheekbones, they use like a spiral set on each side. And then maybe the forehead or the chin, they also put small spirals to like fill in. And I was liking that also. Like I say, these are personal things, so someone else could look at that and not have to see my sister in it. It is enough that I could see her in it. It would be enough for my morning and such. So I hope you liked that. Basically, what I have on my list next, I'll be here a couple of more weeks. I'll be here for Mother's Day. And so I'll see what we're going to do then. My eldest daughter is coming down to spend Mother's Day with me. Elizabeth, it is still unsure because she believes that her mother-in-law is going to visit her, so she might not be able to come down here, which is obviously okay because we can't be greedy, right? And also I am going to go up on the way back home. I'll be stopping by, once again, Melbourne in Florida before I take my trip home, so I'll see her then. And but what I have planned in terms of crochet for the next couple of weeks is I purchased this yarn, which is, the color might be changing because the light is going down. It's a cloudy day today. It's very outcast. So, but anyway, this is, let's see if I can get a better color here. I thought it was gorgeous. It's green, a speckled green. This is Knit Picks Hawthorne, I believe. 80% superwash fine Highland wool, 20% polyamide. And it doesn't have the colorway here, but it does have it on here. It is Knit Picks Hawthorne Speckle. It is Italian Ice. And I don't know if you've realized it before, but when you're using crochet, if you want the speckle to come out nicely, you should try for a light speckling. It shouldn't be very, a lot of speckling in it, because a harsh speckling, because then it doesn't look so nice in crochet. It kind of looks more like pooling, but this one will crochet up nicely. And I am planning on making a pair of socks that Elizabeth designed specifically for Knit Picks, and a collaboration that she had. So I've got the yarn, and even though I have no need for wool socks anymore this time of year here, I am going to work them up. So that's it. That's me. That's me for this week. Here's all the yarn that I have left over from my tapestry. Pretty sure it's enough to make another copy of that same tapestry. Or another one using the same colors, but I'm happy with that. And I don't know if you noticed, but I am missing a tooth. Because, you really can't see it when I'm speaking, but I do think that if my smile opens up widely enough, you can see it. So you might have seen it during the podcast, although maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't at all. Depends on how well you are at observing. I remember that I think I told you the first time that I came down, I went down to New Hampshire with my son, that I was having problems with a tooth, waiting to go back to the dentist, went back to the dentist. He said it had to be pulled, but they had given me an appointment for so far into the future that it was the day before I was actually going to take a plane to come down here, and he decided that he didn't want to pull it. But my husband had gone with me because we were just going in for checkups and for, the cleaning, deep cleaning, and my husband had a bad molar, and he did remove that one. And my husband was going with me. He ended up canceling because I don't know if you have any experience, but it's just what they're doing now, the airlines are doing, is just terrible. At least on the island, it's getting really hard to get off and come back to the island without getting some type of canceled flight or a postponed flight. And so we had our flight canceled the same day that we were supposed to travel. And luckily we were still at home. We didn't make it to the airport. So my husband was only going down for a few days to accompany me. So he decided, he wasn't going to go, and he would take a rain check and go back down later. So he was okay because he stayed at home. But I came down with the tooth. It had been treated with antibiotics. And so the dentist hoped that it wouldn't bother me anymore, at least until I got back. but it didn't work out that way. I had to have it pulled over here. And so, but it's been 2 days ago and it didn't get swollen. I've had no pain. Everything has gone fine. So, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. And I hope that you'll be back again in 2 weeks so that we can continue chatting about our crochet adventures. So I can share mine and you can comment below and share yours also with me. So thanks for joining me today. And until we meet again, keep yourself safe, keep yourself healthy, and keep yourself happy. Happy crafting! Bye for now.